A cute puppy with a mega problem. You've been looking to adopt a dog. Due to your background in veterinary medicine, you want to make sure that you do your part and maybe take in a dog that has some medical problems that you can handle. You've been following a local breeder who recently made an announcement that she has a puppy with megaesophagus. His name is Larry. You've seen his posts for the last few months and he seems very stable. He is now trained to eat in his Bailey chair and eats kibble that has been soaked in hot water. He cannot eat anything outside of his chair without it coming back up. His breeder noticed an issue within the first 2 weeks of his life. He seemed to spit up some milk, and then they ended up doing some x-rays when he was a little older, and it showed an enlarged esophagus without any obvious strictures. Other than that, Larry seems to be a normal puppy. Once they started feeding him upright and letting him sit in his chair for 30 minutes after food, he's been keeping his food down and growing very well. He is just about 5 months old. You want to learn a little more about megaesophagus to see if this might be a dog for you. So you have to do some research. First, try Googling megaesophagus in dogs and read a little bit about what comes up. Next, use the information provided as well as some links to articles to answer general questions about what it is, what are the symptoms, and what are some common treatments and outcomes. What information would you want to know if you were the one taking this puppy home? Whew, I don't know about you, but wow, there's some scary stuff out there. It seems the prognosis is guarded at best. A lot of the articles you're finding show that you just don't know and every case is different. So now you kind of want to figure out what is going to be the prognosis for this specific puppy. You were recommended to join the Upright Canine Brigade Facebook group that is about canine megaesophagus awareness and support. You start reading through some of the posts and are a little overwhelmed by all the information, especially how no two dogs seem to be alike. You also are seeing both the good and the bad, and it's a little bit scary. So you decide to post yourself and then get some group feedback. All right, so for this next task, you are distributed into groups of 4 with 4 envelopes amongst you. Each person is to take an envelope and read a comment left on your post describing an owner's experience with megaesophagus. Take 5 minutes to do this silently and underline or highlight important information. Once everyone is done, come back together in your group and each person will read their given blurb out loud to each other. Once everyone has shared, discuss similarities between these dogs and Larry. What are some differences? Do any of these stick out to you? What questions have you come up with to ask the breeder when you meet them? Now we will assign one of these conditions to each of your groups to further research. Use the links provided and write out the answers to the following questions on your whiteboard. In about 10 minutes, we will come back together and each of the groups can share what they have found. After doing all that research, you've decided he most likely has congenital megaesophagus, where there's no specific treatment, but the prognosis is really good. You decide to give your vet one more call to tell them the good news, and they end up having some last-minute tips and tricks for you. And so finally, you bring Larry home. Larry ends up growing up to be the best boy a family could hope for. He celebrates his half birthday in your home a couple weeks after you adopt him. Over the next 6 months, his symptoms become less and less severe. You end up building him a new Bailey chair. You also foster another dog with megaesophagus. And after 2 years, he can now eat outside of his chair, but he still spits up his water occasionally. So you make sure to keep him hydrated through gelatin cubes and special ice cubes. He rarely regurgitates these days, and besides burping a little bit of water, he ends up living as a normal dog. He lives his life to the fullest, all day, every day.